Hey guys, well, I'm back off my work week. I had to be out of town for 5 days. Oh. Anyway, I'm back and try to get some stuff going. I'm kind of like I've been just standing around in a circle, don't really know what to start on here, but I thought the first thing I would do was tell you some good news. The company car is here, so let's take a look at it. That's it. Looks just like the truck I had, doesn't it? No, actually, here it is. This is a 2016 Toyota Camry. It's just like my neighbor's car over. You've seen a couple of glimpses of over there. LE, and it's just a very basic Camry. It's got really no options besides what they just come with. It's I think it's got 12 guard and all that with it, but just basically a fleet car, and it's called Celestial Silver. Hopefully this will appease those who are despondent that I wasn't going to fix the Avalon up, but it's another Camry, or another Toyota at least. So sorry, I can't let you see that tag number. But anyway, it's basically almost a new car. I like it. You know, as cars go, when you drive cars that are 20 years old and 15 years old and 10 years old and 5 years old and 1 year old, then you certainly start appreciating how much better they get over time. But let's take a look inside. But it's in excellent condition. No problems with it. Nothing's beat up. Nothing like that. It's got a what they call the Entune, the basic Entune stereo. That's called ENTUNE, and it's got a CD player, and it's got, you know, you can play stuff through the USB and the port down there, the 3.5 millimeter auxiliary port if you have iPod and stuff like that to play, so you can do that. It's got all these functions in here, and all this stuff runs off the steering wheel, and I had to learn all that. So you can do different menus on there. You can do like fuel consumption, average trip speed, you can do distance, you can do all this stuff. This one does the radio, and this does the display here. So I had to figure all that out, and I think I got it worked out. One thing I wanted for sure to put up there was for sure I wanted to get the digital speedometer brought up on it, and what it is it didn't have that enabled. You have to go into this menu, and then you have to pick you move over, and it lets you pick a different two different things for each drive menu, they call it. So I put on mine, distance to empty and the digital speedometer, because fairly interesting little minor story is this car. I thought they had went and bought this car for me to use just recently, but as it turns out, they've had this car at the company for a year, I guess, and somebody's been using it. I guess the lady's been using it because the seat was like way up here. I was up as far as I could go, and I smell a little phantom whiff of perfume every once in a while, which I hope goes away. But they haven't smoked in it, at least. That's good. But anyway, and the person that is he's my co-worker now. I have two co-workers that do what I do. One of them is just transferred, the other one just transferred out. There were three, but he's going to. But anyway, he used to be my supervisor. He's my coworker. He's been driving one of these just like this, except his is kind of a gold color, and it's got like a black interior in it. So his is a different color interior. So evidently they bought this car at the same time they bought his. They bought and they bought a few Camrys, and then they bought some Altimas. They've been buying a lot of Altimas because up there where the company's based out of, they've got a Toyota dealer down the road and a Nissan dealer down the road, and they give them incentives to buy cars from them. So that's the deal. So anyway, it's been hanging around since then. I guess somebody around the office has been using it or whatever, but his has got, I was just in his the other day, and his is just loaded with stuff all the time in it. The back sags and stuff like that. It's kind of a rolling office for him, but his has already got 56,000 miles on it, and this one's only got 14. But it won't probably won't stay that low very long, because I've already put, in 2 days of driving it, I've already put 400 and something miles on it. So, and it's due for an oil change coming up at 14,829. It's got 14, I think it said 488 or something like that. So the way it works, we don't have a fleet manager or anything like that takes care of the cars. We don't have any of that. What we do is, these are basically the person that drives them is responsible for their maintenance. So you just take it, and the company pays for it. Of course, you have a company credit card, but you take it and have whatever it needs done to it taken care of. Oil changes and tire rotations and tires, and if something goes, if you have a car problem, then you get that taken care of also. So that's the way it works. You just basically on your own. So something I noticed, I tend to keep a clean car, and I noticed that my coworkers let their cars get kind of, I won't say nasty, but they don't wash them very often, and they don't keep the interiors very clean. The interior's dirty, and the floor mats are all kind of stained up and stuff, and I think that's kind of nasty. This one was that way too. You can see somebody's got some debris in there, which I don't mind necessarily debris, but I want it to be my own debris and not somebody else's. And I left some coupons for fast food in there too. So, but and then some folks, the guy that's our boss, all of our boss, he keeps his car. He's OCD about his car, so he keeps covers over the mats and stuff and keeps them very clean. So it's definitely a hit or miss situation. But I'll give you a little background of what the company that I work for, what they've been using as company cars. And it's draws another parallel with the thing about cars have gotten so much better over the past 20 years. It's unbelievable. When I first started with the company way back when, about 16 years ago, they were all driving, they had cars back then because they were supervisors, and they did other things that was part of their compensation. So they already had cars, and it was a long way away from me having one. But they drove, I remember my coworkers driving those round Tauruses, like the ones that look like a marshmallow. I think the one of them was a 98. Might have been a 98 and a 99, and then some other ones, and that's what they were running then. And then about 2002 or so, they bought the later model Tauruses, and somewhere around 2005 they bought another round of Tauruses, and then in 2007 they bought another round of Tauruses. So they ran Ford Tauruses for ever and ever and ever and ever. So they were all, most of them were just the basic, like this one, the basic, what were those back then, called an SE, I think. One of my coworkers had a maroon one, and one of them had a brown one of them had a white one. So one of them was gray. So just, that's all they were. And some of the later ones were green and red, and like that one I used to have. I had one just like that one. So they ran those forever, and that's just a basic car by today's standards. And then one guy, they had a big territory. They always gave him a van. So he had a Windstar, and then he had another Windstar, and then he had a Freestar, and the Freestar crapped out on him after it reached about 100,000 miles, and that was the last van they ever bought. And somewhere around 2010, they started buying a bunch of Impalas. That's those Impalas that you see everywhere. So they had those. They had red ones, white ones, gray ones, blah, blah, blah. So had those. They were just basic Impala LTs. And then a couple of them, what's weird about that is every once in a while there'd be one that was really nice. There'd be one that was like what's the one that's over the LT LTZ. There'd be a couple that pop up at LTZs, you know, but most of them are just basic generic Impalas. And then around 2013, they bought another round of cars. This time they bought a bunch of Fusions, the base model Fusions with the hubcaps on them, the new style Fusions. They bought a bunch of those. They bought purple ones, white ones, silver ones, a couple oddball kind of orangish bronze colored ones, a couple of those. So, and then in there, like I said, a few of those were like the nicer SEs. You know, it was just hit and miss. It's whatever they had, I guess they had down there they could buy. That's what they bought. So they bought those, and then they bought a few Malibus at the same time, 2013 Malibus. I know somebody's got a gray one, somebody just turned in a silver one. So, and then they recently, they bought, they bought, somewhere in there they bought a few of the late model Tauruses, like a 2010 Taurus. They bought a few of those, but they've not bought any more of those at all. And somewhere between 2013 and now, they started buying, they didn't always buy cars at the certain same time every year, you know. One group would get one maybe early in the year, and then another group would need some, you know, they decide to replace those late in the year. They do like once a quarter. So, but somewhere along in there, they started buying Altimas, a lot of Altimas. So that's been the trend. They've moved away from the domestics. So in 2013, there were some Altimas, and then they just had another round of buying cars, and they bought more Altimas. Like right now, several people are driving brand new Altima SRs, which is a nice car to me. And then there's a few of these Camrys running around, but they didn't buy as many Camrys. So that's kind of the synopsis of the car buying for the company. And there's still a few oddballs running around. There's one person I know has got a new Malibu, one of those restyled Malibus, and then somebody's still driving one of those old Impalas. Like our big boss is still driving an Impala, one of the old Impalas. So, and a few of them are still driving the Fusions, but most of those have been turned back in now. They used to run them to about 100,000 when they had the Tauruses, and then as they've gotten better cars, they've started running them to about 150 or 180,000. So there's a few Fusions that are running their last few months out, and they'll be replaced. So anyway, that's kind of the way it goes with the car buying, and I'm glad to have this one for sure. I've just been banging around with what I've been able to afford to buy on my own, and and it just, when it comes down to it, you can kind of do the math if you want to. Our company does not, whether it's right or wrong or whatever, they don't match the government rate. We get 32 cents a mile reimbursement for our vehicle. So if I drive something like that, then I just about don't get any extra money. It just basically covers the gas. If I drive something like that Fusion I had, then you at the end of the week you may end up with a few dollars to the good. But the offset is you have to pay for the car, you have to pay for the maintenance, you have to pay for the gas, you have to pay for the insurance, etc., etc. And if it gets torn up like that one did, then I have to buy another car. So this car is my car to use for whatever. I drive it for work, and then I can use it for personal use. I just have to supply the gas for the personal use, but I don't plan to be using it much for personal use because I've got other stuff to drive, and if I drive this one all the time, I won't ever be in anything else I like to drive. So anyway, that's the story, and that's the deal, and that's the company I work for, it's a good company. They've tried really hard to never let anybody go, and as I said, they do promotional videos and things every once in a while, and as one of the people said, they said you either stay a year or you stay 20 years. It's just if you fit into this kind of work that I do and they do, and I guess I have. It's not been for everybody. We've had a few people in my department, my division, that didn't make it past a couple 3 years for whatever reason, and then all the rest of us have been there for between 15 and 20 years, and it's a good job. It's a good company, even if it's not something you started out to do, which was the case with me. I did not start out to do this kind of work, but With hard work and perseverance and dedication to what the company has asked me to do and wanted me to do to further their interests, then it has paid off for me. So thanks guys for coming along on this, and won't be any videos on this car. This, like I said, this is just my company car, and so the focus of this channel is to do stuff that's more interesting. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.